Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this week's Zen and Zazen class on Mondays. This week, I will talk about Sawaki Roshi's quotes to you. But before that, as always, let's sit together for 30 minutes. Okay, thank you for joining. Let me continue with my talk on Sawaki Roshi's To You. 2 weeks ago, I got to chapter 11, and we already talked about the first quote. Zazen is not a means to strengthen your hara. Some try to become thick-skinned through Zazen. I don't know exactly what Sawaki Roshi means here when he says thick-skinned. Well, the Japanese expression is pretty literally grow a thick skin. So probably he means to become a stronger, tougher person. Maybe somebody who's less influenced by their environments. Somebody who can drink more sake, sleep less at night. But of course, as Sawaki Roshi says this ironically, some people try to become thick-skinned. In a way, I think Zazen, in a lot of respects, even makes us, how would you say, maybe even thinner skinned, in the sense that we become more, how do you say, receptive for things, and maybe even less tough in certain respects. There's this expression. Well, there's two expressions. One expression that's quite famous in Japanese is I'm unmovable, or being unmovable even when the 8 winds blow. And the 8 winds stand for winds for each of the directions: northeast, southwest, and northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest. So whatever direction the wind blows, being unmovable, that's kind of an ideal that some of us have. And there's another saying, supposedly by young men, or Japanese ummon, Chinese Zen master, who said, I'm a strong person. When the wind blows, I fall. So I fall with the wind. So you could say that's real Zen strength, to not kind of try to resist the wind or to be not influenced by your environment, but to open yourself up to your environments and allow yourself to be influenced by your environment. That's what true strength is about. Anyway, some people say, or some people think that Zazen is supposed to help us grow a thick skin, but of course that's not the case. If it's even the slightest bit personalized, it isn't pure, unadulterated Zazen. So if it's about you, it's not Zen anymore. If Zen becomes a mean for you to become a better person, it's not Zen. We've got to practice genuine, pure Zazen without mixing it with gymnastics or satori or anything. Sawaki Roshi doesn't speak about yoga here. I don't know what Sawaki Roshi would say if he knew that we do 15 minutes of yoga before our Sunday sittings. Actually, the Japanese expression which is translated as gymnastics here is kenko ho, which means all kinds of things that you do for your health. So basically what he's saying here is we don't do Zazen for our health, and we don't do it to get enlightenment either. We don't try to attain anything, gain profits on the physical or on the mental level. It's about letting go. Don't mix it with gymnastics or satori or anything. When we bring in our personal ideas, even only a little bit, it's no longer the Buddha-dharma. So that's true for Zen. Probably the same is true for yoga. If you compare yourself to the person um, doing their practice on the next mat, who's proceeding faster? Am I just as good as her or him, or am I less good? Um, how can I become just like her in 6 months or maybe in 1 year? It's not true yoga anymore, if I may say so. And the same is true for Zen. Don't compare yourself. Don't do it for your health or beauty or spiritual attainment. Let go of that and just sit when you sit. Just do it for the sake of sitting. In a word, Buddhism is non-self. Non-self means that I, in quotation marks, am not a separate subject. When I, in quotation marks, am not a separate subject, then I fill the entire universe. Often people ask what is meant when Buddhists say that the I doesn't really exist, because obviously we all exist. Well, I don't know about you, but I suppose that there are some people out there that hear my voice right now in this moment. What is this that is hearing the voice of Muho? There must be something there. Obviously, there is something there that sees and hears and feels the breath in this moment, or that even thinks. Even if I'm not the thinker of the thoughts, there's something that's conscious of these thoughts popping up in my mind. And even if I'm not the owner of my mind, something is conscious here. So it would be stupid to say that you don't exist, I don't exist. But the point in Buddhism is that this self is not separate from the universe, but it's connected, influenced, determined, you could say, on a interdependent level. It's dependent on the whole universe. Everything, every single drop in this universe is dependent on the whole big ocean. In a word, Buddhism is non-self. Non-self means that I am not a separate subject. When I am not a separate subject, then I fill the entire universe. In true Dharma, there's nothing to gain. In false Dharma, there's something to gain. That's a point that Sawaki Roshi is stressing over and over again, and we've been returning to this point quite a number of times already. And that's why Sawaki Roshi makes the point of saying Zazen is good for nothing. Of course, some people practice Zazen because they have a goal. They want to gain something. But then you do Zazen for yourself, for your personal gain. It's not true, genuine Zazen anymore. If there's something to gain, it's not the true Dharma anymore. In true Dharma, there's nothing to gain. If you practice Zazen when you are overwhelmed by feelings of pleasure, anger, sorrow, and contentment, these feelings will haunt your Zazen like a terrible ghost. Probably most of us have the experience that we were overwhelmed by anger, anxiety, sorrow, or other feelings during Zazen. And of course, it would be nice if we could just switch them off and say, gonna do Zazen for 30 minutes now, so please, no pleasure, anger, sorrow, or contentment for these next 30 minutes. But they will come up. I think last week there was also this questions, how do you deal with such delusions, defilements, obstructions. And my answer is just let it be. Don't deal with it, because the idea I need to deal with it. I have to erase these feelings so that I can do Zazen better. It's just another expression of anger. I'm not supposed to be angry at this moment. And then you turn even angrier because you get angry at yourself, or you become afraid of being afraid. So the point is, don't let yourself, how do you say, be swallowed up by these feelings. Don't float away with these feelings, but also you don't have to suppress them. Let them be. Let them be. And if it feels like they haunt you like ghosts, let the ghosts haunt you. But in a way, the idea is you sit like a mountain and the ghosts are playing their game somewhere up in the mountain, but the mountain is not moved by the ghosts. The way of Buddha means that there's nothing to seek, nothing to find. If there's something to find, no matter how much we practice, it's got nothing to do with the buddha-dharma. If there's nothing to find, that's the buddha-dharma. Okay, so much from my side for today. If you have questions, anything you would like to share, you're welcome to do so. Any questions? Anything you would like to share? Maybe Kenza first. Kenza, please.
Thank you. Sorry for my voice, but it's 5 o'clock in the morning where I am. I'm in Mexico, so it's very early. I just wanted to say, I think, I don't know, but it seems that what Sawaki Roshi is saying that is very important, that is kind of a contrast with the Western way of thinking, is that it's the process that matters. Whereas most people kind of engage in activities because of the goal. You know, you go to the gym, so you become stronger. You sit for Zazen, so you become calmer. Like there's always this goal. So the process is not the important thing. Or you do yoga in order to achieve, I don't know, I don't do yoga, but I do martial arts. So let's say you do Kung Fu in order to be able to, do a certain routine. And what I like about Sawaki Roshi is that he's telling us like, no, it's the process, this is how I read it. I don't know.
Yeah, you could say it's the process, or Sawaki Roshi doesn't really talk about the process here so much. You could also say it's the attitude. And if the question would be what attitude, well, the attitude of not gaining, the attitude of letting go, that's important. And I think it's also probably, I don't do martial arts, but I could imagine that also in martial arts, already. I mean, that's why, for example, sitting for 5 minutes, for example, before training, or bowing before you enter the room, bowing when you exit the room is so important. You could ask, well, I come to the karate dojo to practice karate. Why should I bow when I get in and out? It's the attitude with which you enter the room and with which you exit the room. That's also extremely important. The attitude with which you do the practice. Anything else? Any other questions? Anything you would like to share? Jan, please.
Okay, as always, I have some questions, but for today, just one. So today, you mentioned the word enlightenment. Also, this word is quite used in from different Zen masters, usually describing it very metaphorically. But in the Zen tradition, I don't recall hearing so much about awakening. So, what does this word means to you or to Zen, awakening?
I would use it in the same meaning as enlightenment. I don't see a big difference there.
Okay, okay, interesting. Just I was curious about that. And since your answer was very short, if you don't mind, I will ask another question. Uh, so I've heard yes, a couple of Zen masters on YouTube mentioning that they that practicing Zen don't finish when you go to sleep, and that uh, Zen practice continues after you fall asleep.
Hmm.
So the question is, what does this mean, or what does this imply? And if I may, uh, I just experienced once a couple of times where I was aware I was sleeping, and
Hmm.
I tried to remain present while I
Hmm.
was sleeping. Wasn't
Hmm.
very easy, of course. So I don't know if it would be that, or what's practicing Zen while sleeping.
Well, if you have questions about stuff that other teachers say, the best thing is always to ask these people directly, because I don't remember that I said that you should practice while you're sleeping. But, well, what I say and what many people say is that the 24 hours of the day are practice. And when we talk about 24 hours of the day, then of course sleep is included. And the idea is there's no end to practice. It's not that you get up, uh, then after 5 or 10 minutes you tell yourself, oh no, now I need to start my practice. And another thing that I probably said already, um, in my view, Zen practice is not something that you tell yourself consciousness, I need to practice now. So when I say the 24 hours of the day are practice, I don't mean that 24 hours of the day, even when you sleep, you tell yourself, this is practice. I need to be mindful. For example, when you sleep, I need to be aware of my dreams and kind of watch my dreams very consciously, very mindfully. Um, so I don't know what the other teachers mean when they say you need to practice when you sleep. But what I mean when I say the 24 hours of the day is it's not something limited to the sitting, but whatever you do, just be there. How do you say? Submit yourself to whatever you do. Be in there. So when you sleep, just sleep. When you wash the dishes, just wash the dishes. When you take a meal, just take the meal. When you go to the bathroom, just go to the bathroom. That's all. Totally do it. So you don't have to sleep and do some extra practice so that it's Zen. But when you sleep, just sleep. Any other questions? Anything else you would like to share? Joseph, please. Or it's Julian, sorry. Julian.
Yeah, I see Joseph's just put a question in the chat because he's on the train coming home right now. So I'm glad to see he's caught his train. I just wanted to say I liked what you said about becoming thin-skinned. You know, it's
Yeah.
so much of the pain we experience is from trying to thicken our skin and defend the self. And you know, you cannot do that by Zen or any other method. You can't thicken the skin. We're going to be hit by, you know, I've just been in northern Japan where we had dangerous spare warnings, a small tsunami, two quakes, and quite heavy snow. You know, the world is going to make our skin thinner, whatever happens. So I just thought it's so nice to think of maybe doing Zazen as opening that protective skin. Anyway, I'll stop and let you answer Joseph's question.
Yeah, Joseph sent something in the chat. My question, have the emotions you experienced during Zazen changed over your decades of practice? Well, I think we all notice changes over the years, and it's hard to tell if that's something connected to my Zen practice or if it's just because I get older. Like when you're young, if you're a young heterosexual male, you think about girls a lot of the times. There was a lot of rock and roll playing in my head when I was young. And now there's less of that. I would like to think that I also got better than at not allowing myself to kind of drift away with the emotions. But there would be no specific emotion where I would say this has changed in this way because of my Zen practice and not just because I got older. I mean, yeah, also anger was a big issue in the beginning. Even in the monastery, I was angry at my neighbors for, I don't know, making noises or sleeping, falling asleep during Zazen. And I got better at accepting that. Also, there was, in that respect, a big change after I become the abbot. Kind of, when you're still a training monk, it's like kind of between brothers, elder brother, younger brother, and you kind of feel like rivals. Like when you're in the position of the abbot, it's more like the position of the father. And okay, the kids sleep, but it's not that kind of, how can this guy sleep while I'm doing my best here? Yeah, so things have changed, but I couldn't tell you exactly how they changed and if it's because of my Zen practice or because of other reasons. Any other questions that you have? Anything else you would like to share?
I have a question also about the way of like letting go, and then how practicing Zazen is almost kind of like passive in a way. So in the world where kind of humanity is almost wiping itself out, like how can we just let everything go? And is this still a way we can walk, or is there a need for something different? Because so many animals disappearing, so many plants disappearing, the environment is, I mean, humanity is kind of like an experiment that is almost kind of over, right? It feels like day by day. So I don't know, like recently this is a very big controversy in me, in my thoughts, in my mind.
I would say that kind of relaxation and finding peace in yourself at times, but then also being very active and aiming at changing yourself and changing your environment and improving the world for better. These need to go hand in hand. So if we become too active, too activistic, that can also lead to even more conflicts. So there needs to be a certain kind of inner rest or relaxation. But of course, Buddhism doesn't, how do you say, teach that we shouldn't do anything. The best thing we can do is just sit on our cushions, shut our mouth, fold our hands, and just, well, wait for things to change for the better by themselves. Of course, doing your best during the rest of the day is also important. But unfortunately, it would be nice if the Buddha somewhere in the sutras would have told us exactly what we can do to prevent war and create peace and to work against climate change and poverty and things like that. But as far as I know, there's no, how do you say, manual for that. There's no manual for that. And of course, a lot of very intelligent people have lots of ideas how you can do it. But unfortunately, these ideas often conflict. So that's why I think that certain kind of relaxation or kind of being settled also is needed. Kind of being, how do you say, not here he talked about not being swept away by your emotions. Of course, there needs to be a certain enthusiasm or a certain, how do you say, even fire in a fire that you want to change the world. But if you're too enthusiastic and you don't allow or kind of don't listen to people that have different ideas about these problems and how they can be solved, we will never find a solution. So being concerned is, I think, very important, but also being relaxed to a certain degree. I'll do whatever I can do, and if that's not enough, then it's not enough. But I will still try to do my best.
And also, I was just going to add, I'm just back from interviewing tsunami survivors on the northeast coast of Japan again and community rebuilders. And yes, that kind of knowing when to relax, even in those situations. And so many times people talk about the importance of sense of humor and joy, even in those really difficult days, in the first 2 or 3 days after the tsunami. It comes across time and time again. So that kind of playful heart, asobi gokoro kind of stuff, I think is so important. And yeah, I just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
Any other questions or things that you would like to share? Wolfgang, please. You have unmuted yourself, but we can't hear you. There seems to be a technical problem again. I don't hear you. You're not in mute, but still I can't hear you.
From Ryotakuchi,
Now I can hear you.
Okay, when you enter Ryotakuchi, at the entrance, you see this calligraphy, and I would ask you, can you translate this for me? I think this is Yama, but what is this other kanji? Can you translate this?
Looks like Yume, like dream. Is this the character for dream?
I don't know.
One is this dream? No? Let me write it in the chat what I think it might be. It looks a bit like this to me. And that would be the dream, Yume in Japanese.
Dream. This is the big one is dream.
Well, if it's dream, it's only one. Like what you said, looks like Yama to you. It's part of one single character. I could be wrong. But in the case of dream, there's 3 strokes at the top, which mean grass.
Grass. And how would you translate to say it in German in one sentence?
Traum, dream, Traum.
Dream. Okay.
Dream,
and the small one, I think you can't read, or?
Well, I would say it belongs to, it's one character. I don't see two there. I see one. But I could be wrong. But to me, I wrote it in the chat, in the chat function. I think it's this one character.
Dream. Okay, it's
Dream.
yeah. It seems like a yes. Okay, thank you.
But I don't know. How about the Asians? Like Yuta-san, can you read this, Yuta-san?
I don't know, it's really hard to read, but I think it's Yume too. Or Gyo, I don't know.
Yo?
Yume. Gyo, Waza? But
Waza. Ah,
I
okay.
don't know.
Like Kigyo no gyo. Gyo.
But it's most, Yume is most likely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a Japanese here who says it's probably dream, but it's difficult to read. Could be
Okay.
difficult. Yeah, but that's probably
It's-
one character. It's not two.
I like it. It's really fun. Okay, thank you. Greetings
Thank you.
to Osaka.
Okay, it's already 9:02 here in Japan. So I would like to thank you for coming. Next week is 29th. If you have the time at the end of the year, I will be here and talk about Zen mind, beginner's mind. And after that, I'm gonna be away for 2 Mondays. So in January, the third Monday will be the first time when I'm back. I won't be here for the first 2 Mondays. Okay, so thank you. If you have the time, let's see again in a week, or if you don't have time at the end of December, let's see us again in January. Thank you also for Schwanzan for hosting us. And as I said last time, there's also the possibility to do pranayama, breathing exercises with Schwan every day, 9:10, I think it was, even today. So thank you for joining. Thank you to Schwanzan for hosting us. See you again. Bye.
Merry Christmas.
And Merry Christmas. Yeah, here.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.